It was once a sitcom that made people laugh at neighborly chaos and everyday conflict. But behind Love Thy Neighbor, the cast's real lives spiraled in ways no one saw coming. Jack Smethurst went from fame to a quiet fade, while Tommy Godfrey faced heartbreak that left him isolated. Stay watching, because their then and now is far more unsettling than you think. Jack Smethurst as Eddie Booth. Jack Smethurst was born on April 9, 1932, in Collyhurst, Manchester, England. At 40 years old, he played Eddie Booth, the outspoken conservative union man, in Love Thy Neighbor. The role made him one of the most recognizable faces of British television at the time. But long before fame found him, his early life had already shaped the man he would become. Growing up in a working-class family, Jack learned discipline during his service in the Royal Air Force before choosing a different path at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. His early appearances in films like Carry On, Sergeant, 1958, and A Kind of Loving, 1962, slowly built his career. But it wasn't until Love Thy Neighbor that everything changed. As his career rose, his personal life had to adjust to that sudden shift. Jack married actress Julie Nichols in 1957, and together they raised 4 children, but the demands of filming and public attention often kept him away from home. The pressure of maintaining success while balancing family life created tension that quietly followed him through his peak years. That pressure did not disappear when the spotlight began to fade. After the series ended, the strong association with Eddie Booth limited his opportunities, leaving him with fewer major roles, including appearances in Chariots of Fire, 1981, and King Ralph, 1991. The distance between his peak success and later career became more noticeable as time passed. Jack Smethurst passed away on February 16, 2022, at his home in Chorleywood, Hertfordshire, at the age of 89 due to natural causes. His passing was private, with no widely reported burial details. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was around $1 million, closing the story of a man whose greatest success also quietly defined the limits of his career. Rudolph Walker as Bill Reynolds. Rudolph Walker was born on September 28, 1939, in San Juan, Trinidad and Tobago. At 33 years old, he played Bill Reynolds, the sharp and resilient neighbor, in Love Thy Neighbor. His role became essential to the series, giving it a dynamic that audiences could not ignore. Before reaching that moment, his journey had already taken him far from where he started. As a child, Rudolph joined the Trinidad Theatre Workshop, and by 1960, he made the bold decision to move to the United Kingdom to pursue acting professionally. Early roles, including 10 Rillington Place, 1971, helped him gain recognition, but it was Love Thy Neighbor that brought him into the spotlight. As his career expanded, his personal life became more complicated. Rudolph married Lorna Ross in 1968, and they had 2 children before their marriage ended in divorce. He later married Dune Alexander, but that relationship also ended. It was only in 2016, with Evangeline Vincent, that he found a more stable chapter. Those personal shifts unfolded alongside a career that refused to slow down. He continued working steadily, appearing in The Thin Blue Line, 1995, before securing a long-running role in EastEnders from 2001. This consistency allowed him to remain present on screen while many others faded away. As of 2026, Rudolph Walker is 86 years old and still active, continuing his role in EastEnders. Beyond acting, he supports young performers through his foundation, ensuring his influence continues beyond his own career. His estimated net worth is around $2 million, built through decades of continuous work. Nina Baden-Semper as Barbie Reynolds. Nina Baden-Semper was born in 1945 in Trinidad and Tobago. At 27 years old, she played Barbie Reynolds, the elegant and outspoken wife of Bill, in Love Thy Neighbor. Her role brought charm and emotional contrast, helping the series stand out despite its controversy. Her journey began far from British television. Arriving in the UK as a dancer, she stepped into an industry where opportunities were limited, especially for a black woman in the 1960s. She transitioned into acting and began appearing in stage productions like The Bouquet, gradually building a presence that would later lead her to television. Each step forward came with resistance, but she continued pushing into spaces that were not designed for her. That breakthrough came when she joined Love Thy Neighbor, appearing in all 54 episodes. The role made her instantly recognizable, and the series brought fame. But it also meant being associated with a project that many viewed as controversial, forcing her to navigate both recognition and criticism at the same time. After the series ended, Nina continued working across different formats, including appearances in Crossroads, 2002, and the Doctor Who audio project. She expanded beyond acting into presenting and music, maintaining a presence in the industry while many of her contemporaries disappeared from view. As of 2026, Nina Baden-Semper is around 80 years old and no longer appears regularly on screen. Her estimated net worth is around $1 million, built over decades of consistent work across theater, television, and music. Her career reflects a long path through an industry that was never easy to enter, yet she remained visible long after many others had faded. Kate Williams as Joan Booth. Kate Williams was born on December 12, 1941, in London, England. At 31 years old, she played Joan Booth, the kind and understanding wife of Eddie, in Love Thy Neighbor. Her role grounded the series, giving it a human side that balanced its sharper conflicts. She grew up in post-war London, a time when opportunities were limited and competition was intense. Without relying on a traditional path, she found her way into acting and began taking roles in films like Poor Cow, 1967. These early appearances gave her the foundation she needed, but it was television that would define her career. That definition came with Love Thy Neighbor, where she appeared in 53 episodes and became a familiar face to audiences across the UK. The role of Joan Booth positioned her as the emotional counterweight in the series, and it opened the door to more consistent work in television, including roles in May to December and later EastEnders. Unlike many actors tied to a single role, Kate continued moving forward. She took on supporting roles in productions like Birds of a Feather and returned to television in later years with appearances in Casualty, 2023. Her career did not rely on sudden peaks, but on steady, ongoing work that kept her visible over time. As of 2026, Kate Williams is 84 years old and remains active with occasional acting roles. Her estimated net worth is around $800,000, reflecting a long career built on consistency and resilience. Her story is not marked by dramatic collapse, but by a quiet persistence that allowed her to remain part of the industry for decades. Tommy Godfrey as Arthur. Tommy Godfrey was born on June 20, 1916, in Lambeth, London, England. At 56 years old, he played Arthur, the pub landlord, in Love Thy Neighbor. His character added a grounded, everyday presence that helped anchor the show's humor. To have this role, he overcame many difficulties. Growing up during wartime poverty, Tommy left school at just 14 to support his family. Without formal training, he relied entirely on instinct and raw talent, first performing as a tap dancer alongside his sister before moving into comedy. That transition slowly opened doors, leading to early film work like Passport to Pimlico, 1949, where he began building the identity of a familiar working-class character actor. As his career stabilized, his personal life followed a quieter path. Tommy married his childhood sweetheart Elsie, and their life together remained steady for decades. But everything changed when Elsie died of cancer in the early 1980s. Her loss left him increasingly withdrawn, and the stability he had relied on for years suddenly disappeared, affecting both his emotional state and his ability to continue working as before. That loss came at the same time his health began to decline. Years of smoking took a visible toll, weakening his body and limiting his energy in later life. The combination of grief and deteriorating health gradually pulled him away from the industry, leaving behind the steady rhythm that had once defined his career. Tommy Godfrey passed away on June 24, 1984, in London, just 4 days after his 68th birthday, due to heart failure linked to long-term smoking. His passing was quiet, with no widely reported burial details. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was around $200,000, reflecting a lifetime of steady work rather than fame. His story ends not with a dramatic fall, but with a slow fading shaped by loss, habit, and time. Tim Barrett as Detective Sergeant Finch / Reggie Truelove. Tim Barrett was born on May 31, 1929, in London, England. At around 43 years old, he played Detective Sergeant Finch, a police detective sergeant, and Reggie Truelove, a working-class man, in Love Thy Neighbor. His roles, though limited in screen time, helped drive specific situations and conflicts within the story. He built his career through steady work in British television and film, often cast in authority roles such as police officers, inspectors, or officials. Early appearances in productions like The Avengers and films such as The Psychopath, 1966, established him as a reliable supporting actor. His ability to portray disciplined, structured roles made him a familiar face in many series throughout the 1960s and 1970s. That consistency led to a more visible position when he took on the role of Malcolm Harris, a strict office manager and boss, in Terry and June. This role placed him in a central dynamic within the show, interacting directly with main characters and gaining wider recognition. It became the role most audiences associated with him, reinforcing his identity as an actor suited to authority-driven characters. He continued appearing in television series such as Dad's Army and George and Mildred, maintaining a steady career without major interruptions. His final role came in War and Remembrance, 1988, marking the end of his time on screen after decades of consistent work. Tim Barrett passed away on August 20, 1990, in Kent, England, at the age of 61 due to natural causes. There are no widely reported details about his burial. At the time of his death, his estimated net worth was around $400,000, reflecting a career built on long-term supporting roles rather than leading fame. Keith Marsh as Jacko. Keith Marsh was born on January 18, 1926, in Blackpool, England. At 46 years old, he played Jacko, the bar regular known for his catchphrase, "I'll have a half," in Love Thy Neighbor. His role brought a recognizable humor that became part of the show's identity. His early years were shaped by hardship during the Great Depression, growing up in a working-class family where storytelling became his escape. After serving in World War II, he turned toward acting, building his career through regional theater before moving into television. Gradually, he found steady work, appearing in productions like Daleks' Invasion Earth, 2150 AD, 1966, which helped establish him as a reliable character actor. As his career progressed, his personal life faced a devastating blow. Keith married Madeline Newbury, and they built a family together, but the loss of their teenage daughter became a turning point that left a deep, emotional impact. The grief lingered quietly, shaping his later years in ways that were never fully visible to the public, even as he continued working. That emotional weight followed him into the later stages of his life. Although he continued appearing in television roles such as The Bill, his presence became less frequent over time. The combination of personal loss and the natural slowing of his career created a gradual retreat from the spotlight. Keith Marsh passed away in January 2013 in England at the age of 86 after prolonged health issues. His passing marked the end of a career that had spanned more than 5 decades. His estimated net worth was around $500,000, built through years of consistent work. Behind the familiar face of Jacko was a life shaped by quiet endurance and a loss that never truly faded. Paul Luty as Nobby Garside. Paul Luty was born on May 4, 1932, in Leeds, Yorkshire, England. At around 42 years old, he played Nobby Garside, the bar worker, in Love Thy Neighbor. His role added a rough, working-class energy that fit naturally into the series. His early life was shaped by financial struggle. Growing up in a working-class family, Paul entered adulthood with limited options and turned to professional wrestling in the 1960s as a way to survive. That physical career gave him visibility, but it also carried risks, pushing him toward a second path in acting. Small television roles followed, including appearances in Coronation Street and later Porridge, where he began building a steady presence on screen. As his career developed, his personal life began to fracture. His first marriage ended in divorce, and although he had a daughter, the relationship became distant over time. The demands of his career, combined with an unpredictable lifestyle, created a growing gap between him and his family. That separation did not happen suddenly, but it left a lasting emotional weight that followed him into later years. That emotional strain deepened as his career slowed. While he continued appearing in series like Emmerdale and All Creatures Great and Small, his roles remained limited, and his presence in the industry became less consistent. Over time, he became increasingly isolated, with fewer professional opportunities and little connection to the family life he had once built. Paul Luty passed away on January 10, 1985, in Leeds at the age of 52 due to natural causes. His death came quietly, with no widely reported burial details. At the time of his passing, his estimated net worth was around $300,000, reflecting a career that never fully broke into leading roles. His story remains one of struggle, effort, and a life that slowly narrowed despite early promise. Norman Bird as Mr. Granger. Norman Bird was born on October 30th, 1924, in London, England. At 48 years old, he played Mr. Granger, a minor but distinctive character, in Love Thy Neighbor. His appearance, though brief, added depth to the show's everyday world. His early life began in a working-class environment where stability mattered more than ambition. He left school at 16 and later trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, a decision that redirected his future entirely. After serving in the Royal Air Force during World War II, he returned determined to pursue acting, making his film debut in An Inspector Calls, 1954, and steadily building a career through roles in films like The Angry Silence, 1960. As his career expanded, his personal life was marked by loss and instability. His first marriage ended suddenly with the death of his wife, a shock that deeply affected him. He later remarried, but that relationship also ended in divorce, leaving him to navigate both grief and separation while continuing to work. These events did not stop his career, but they shaped the way he moved through life, balancing professional consistency with personal hardship. Despite these challenges, Norman remained a constant presence on British television. He appeared in numerous productions, including Fawlty Towers and Worzel Gummidge, becoming one of the most recognizable character actors of his time. His career did not rely on leading roles, but on a steady stream of appearances that kept him visible across decades. Norman Bird passed away on April 22, 2005, at the age of 80 after a long battle with cancer. His death marked the end of a career that spanned over 200 television appearances. There are no widely reported details about his burial. At the time of his passing, his estimated net worth was around $100,000, reflecting a lifetime of consistent work rather than fame or fortune. Bill Maynard as Police Sergeant. Bill Maynard was born on October 8, 1928, in Heath End, Surrey, England. At 45 years old, he played a police sergeant, a brief but memorable role in Love Thy Neighbor. Though small, his appearance added a familiar comedic presence that audiences quickly recognized. His early life unfolded during wartime Britain, where stability was uncertain and opportunities were limited. He began his career as a variety performer in the 1950s, adopting the stage name Bill Maynard, and slowly building a reputation through live performances. His transition into television came gradually, with early work alongside Terry Scott and appearances in productions like Carry On Matron, 1972, where his comedic style began to reach a wider audience. As his career grew, his personal life became increasingly complicated. He first married Muriel Linnet in 1949, and they had 2 children together, but her death in 1983 left a lasting impact on him. Years later, he married actress Tanya Byrne in 1989, but that relationship ended in divorce in 1998. These personal losses and separations unfolded alongside a demanding career, creating a pattern of instability that followed him into later life. That instability became more visible as his health declined. After suffering multiple strokes, his mobility was significantly reduced, forcing him to rely on a scooter and later a wheelchair. Despite these challenges, he continued working, most notably in Heartbeat as Claude Greengrass, a role that brought him renewed success even as his physical condition worsened. Bill Maynard passed away on March 30, 2018, at the age of 89 after a fall that resulted in a broken hip, followed by complications. His death came shortly after the accident, marking the end of a long and varied career. There are no widely reported details about his burial. At the time of his passing, his estimated net worth was around $600,000, reflecting decades of steady work across television and film. Charlotte Howard as Elsie/Doris. Charlotte Howard was born on January 12, 1944, in Eton, Berkshire, England. At around 28 years old, she played Elsie, a working-class woman, and Doris, a supporting female resident, in Love Thy Neighbor. Her roles, though brief, helped fill out the everyday social world of the series. Her early career developed through British television and film during the late 1960s, with appearances in productions like Cold Comfort Farm, 1968, and Nana, 1968. These roles introduced her to audiences and positioned her within the industry as a supporting actress capable of moving between period drama and contemporary settings. She built her career gradually, taking on varied parts without relying on a single defining role. As her professional life moved forward, her personal life became more unstable. She married David Fennell in 1969, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1975, leaving behind 1 child. That same year, she married Mike Hope. But this relationship also ended in divorce, adding another layer of disruption. It was not until 1990 that she married John Mather, marking a later attempt at stability after years of repeated separation. These repeated changes in her personal life unfolded alongside a career that never fully settled into a consistent trajectory. While she continued to appear in productions such as For the Love of Albert, 1977, her roles remained limited, and her presence in the industry became less frequent over time, reflecting a gradual step back from the spotlight. As of 2026, Charlotte Howard is 82 years old and is believed to be living a private life away from acting. Her estimated net worth is around $300,000, built from her years of work in film and television. Her story reflects a career shaped by early opportunity, but also by a personal life that repeatedly shifted its direction. Oscar James as Roy/Gasboard Workman. Oscar James was born on July 25, 1942, in Trinidad and Tobago. At around 33 years old, he played Roy, a gasboard workman, in Love Thy Neighbor. Though a small role, it marked one of his early steps into British television during a difficult time for black actors. His early life was marked by poverty, forcing him to grow up quickly and take responsibility from a young age. When he moved to the United Kingdom in the 1950s, survival came before ambition, working as a taxi driver and dishwasher just to get by. But the desire to perform never left him, and step by step he pushed into acting, eventually breaking barriers by becoming one of the first black actors to join the Royal Shakespeare Company and even taking on the role of Macbeth. That determination led to a major turning point in his career. In 1972, he co-founded the Temba Theatre Company, creating space for black stories that had been ignored for too long. Around the same period, he began appearing in television productions like Softly, Softly, and The Professionals, building momentum that would later define his place in British television. The breakthrough came when he joined EastEnders in 1985 as Tony Carpenter, becoming one of the original cast members. The role brought him national recognition and placed him at the center of a cultural shift on British television. Later, he continued appearing in projects such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005, maintaining a steady presence across decades. As of 2026, Oscar James is 84 years old and is believed to be living in North London, largely away from the spotlight. His estimated net worth is around $1 million, built through a long career that combined acting with cultural impact. His story is not defined by a single role, but by the barriers he broke and the space he helped create for others who followed. Michael Slater as Cyril / the barman. Michael Slater was born in 1937 in the United Kingdom. At 35 years old, he played Cyril, the barman, in Love Thy Neighbor. His role, though limited, added a familiar background presence that helped shape the everyday setting of the series. Before appearing on television, Michael built his path through a mix of performance and physical discipline. He trained in martial arts, including karate and Wing Chun, while also developing his skills in music as a lead guitarist in various bands. This combination of artistic and physical training gave him a versatility that later translated into acting, allowing him to move between stage, screen, and smaller productions. That versatility led him into television roles across multiple series. He appeared in shows such as On the Buses and Mind Your Language, where he took on supporting roles that reinforced his position as a dependable character actor. His work extended beyond major productions into commercials, student films, and independent projects, creating a steady but low-profile career that relied on consistency rather than fame. Despite these appearances, his career remained largely in the background. He continued working across different formats, including extra roles in productions like Rake and Secret City, maintaining a connection to the industry without stepping into the spotlight. As of 2026, Michael Slater is 89 years old, and he is living a private life while remaining occasionally involved in creative projects. His estimated net worth is around $200,000, reflecting a career built through varied work rather than mainstream recognition. From unforgettable moments to lives that changed in ways no one expected, the Love Thy Neighbor, 1972 cast has truly taken very different paths over the years. Some found lasting success, while others quietly faded or faced hardships behind the scenes. So which story surprised you the most? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more then and now stories you won't believe.